Tower Fantasy, a game that had so much hype behind its global release that some people even said it could be the game that finally kills Genshin Impact. And with over 4 million pre-registers, plus the game skyrocketing to the top of the App Store on day one, and reaching peak viewership on Twitch that most other gacha games could only dream of, it looked like it might just do that. So what happened? Before we get into what Tower Fantasy did wrong, let's go over some of the things that they got right. On paper, Tower Fantasy had everything it needed to become a top gacha game in the current climate. It had appealing character design, an amazing looking open world, character customization, an extremely generous pity mechanic where you didn't lose pity for getting a 5-star early, free nuclei to do summons that were scattered all around the world to make exploring feel worth it, a challenging endgame with rewards that made building your characters feel like it wasn't a complete waste of your time. It's an MMO, so it gave you the ability to explore the world with friends, meet new people, and make guilds, and you could even get rewards through the guild by doing guild quests. And on top of all that, it had incredibly popular channels like Vanoss Gaming playing it on YouTube, and huge streamers like Shylily streaming it on Twitch. All that put together sounds like the game couldn't fail, but then again, I wouldn't be making this video if all that had worked. And now, we need to talk about the bad. The reception on combat was rather hit or miss, with some saying that it was fantastic and others saying it was too floaty, and some just said it was straight up terrible. Another issue that Tower Fantasy had is while PvP was fun, PvP in gacha games is never really good for free-to-play players or people that just want to summon for characters they enjoy, because some of the characters are just always going to be better than others. And that leaves you running into the same teams over and over again and getting ran over if the characters you have and like aren't the ones that are best for PvP, leaving a lot of players to just not even touch the mode. The story in Tower Fantasy, for a lot of people, was also very lacking, and it didn't really have that it factor to make them care, so a lot of people just used the skip button to get past all of it. Whether that was a writing issue or an issue with the community as a whole, I'll let that be up to you. And remember how I talked about all the big channels covering the game? Well, that was both a good thing but also a bad thing. The reason being, some of the bigger channels that covered the game only did it because of a sponsorship, which isn't inherently bad. However, it becomes a problem when the audience that they're showing the game has little to no interest. For example, with Vanoss, most of his popular content is funny moments from GTA or Gmod, and the fan base for those types of videos don't typically have a huge overlap with gacha gaming. And after some of these channels got their bag, they just didn't come back, leading to a mass exodus in viewership. One thing that might have really ruined the experience for some of the more hardcore grinders was gating progression behind day wait timers. And while that's probably better for the casuals so they don't get left behind, it made it so that the hardcore raiders and everyone else that wanted to do the endgame content had to wait days to get to what they wanted to play. And a lot of them just didn't stick around to try it. And probably one of the biggest problems is that most of the endgame content, like raids and harder world bosses, need to be done with groups. And because this is a gacha game, if you end up finding your way into doing some of these activities, you end up either being carried by whales or your whole team just struggles through it, if you even finish it at all. Neither of which is most likely to lead to fun gameplay. So that leads us to finally answer the question, why didn't Tower Fantasy kill Genshin? And to be honest, I think it's because the games are too different. Tower Fantasy shouldn't have been labeled the Genshin Killer in the first place. Like, yeah, they're both open world gacha games, but one is an MMO light and the other one's a mostly single player experience, where Genshin has its strengths in its story and fleshing out its characters to make you actually care. Tower Fantasy just lacks that and instead goes for a more traditional MMO standpoint, where it's more about making a group and doing different activities. And this sort of competition between the two, while beneficial for Tower Fantasy in the first week or two because it made Genshin players want to check it out, they ended up just going back to Genshin because it's not what they're used to, and it's not what they enjoy playing. By no means am I saying that Tower Fantasy is dead. It more so just is in its own lane now. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, leave a like, and let me know down in the comments the main reason why you think Tower Fantasy didn't kill Genshin. With that all said and done, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.